My parents forgot to hang up, and I heard them telling my sister, "Living with her is terrible. But we're only staying for the money." She snorted. "Without money she's a zero." 2 weeks later, I told them to pack their things. "Well, let's go. My name is Talia and I'm 32 years old. I work as a programmer for a large technology company here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I live in a big house on the west side of town with my parents and my older sister Monica, who's 35. 3 years ago I got divorced from my husband. He gave me a large settlement, enough that I could buy this house without a mortgage. I thought it would be nice to have everyone together, to give my family a comfortable place to live. So I bought the house and invited them to move in. My father retired early a few years back. He's only 61, but he said he'd worked enough. My mother never worked, at least not that I remember. Monica opened a natural soap business about 4 years ago. She was going to sell artisanal soaps online and at farmers markets. Never really took off. The business barely stayed alive, and she was always trying to revive it with new strategies that never worked. I support the family financially. I pay the property tax, all the utilities, buy the groceries. I pay for my mother's purchases when she goes shopping. I give Monica money to keep her business going, paying for supplies, packaging, advertising campaigns that never seem to bring results. Last month alone, I gave her $1,800 for a new marketing push. One afternoon last week, I was at work finishing up some code when my phone rang. It was my mother. "Hi, honey," she said. "I was thinking about dinner. Should I make chicken or pasta?" "Whatever you want, Mom. I'm not picky." We talked about nothing important for a few minutes. What she'd watched on TV, something funny that happened at the grocery store. Then she said she had to go and we said goodbye. But she didn't hang up. I heard rustling sounds like she'd put the phone down, but the call was still connected. Then I heard my father's voice, cold, flat, almost robotic. "Living with Talia is terrible. But we're only staying for the money." My mother's voice came next. "She's so greedy and selfish. I'm tired of having to ask her for money. Tired of explaining what I want to spend it on." Then Monica laughed. It was a cruel sound. "Talia is only valuable for her money. Without it, she's a complete zero." I sat at my desk with the phone pressed to my ear, frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. They talked for a few more minutes, complaining about me, about the house, about how they wished I'd just give them money without questions. Then the call finally disconnected. I sat there for a long time. My computer screen went dark. I thought about my childhood, how my parents always put Monica first. When she wanted dance lessons, they paid for them even though money was tight. When I got accepted to university, they barely celebrated. They were too busy helping Monica with her failed blogging career, which came before the soap business. I'd worked nights during college. Freelance programming jobs, building websites for small businesses, anything to pay tuition. Monica didn't work. She just spent my parents' money on whatever she wanted. I left work early that day and drove home on autopilot. When I got there, everyone was in the living room. My father watching TV, my mother reading a magazine, Monica on her phone. "You're home early," my mother said. "I have a migraine. I'm going to lie down. Don't you want dinner?" "No, I'm not hungry." I went to my room and closed the door. I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying what I'd heard over and over. The next morning I got up and acted normal. I made breakfast for everyone like I always do. Scrambled eggs, toast, coffee. I watched them while they ate. My father sat in his usual spot reading the newspaper. My mother was talking about needing a new winter coat. She wasn't asking directly, but I knew what she meant. She wanted me to buy it for her. Monica was on her phone scrolling through Instagram, barely acknowledging anyone. They all acted completely normal, like they hadn't said those things about me yesterday. Over the next 2 weeks, I started paying attention to things I'd ignored before. Little details that suddenly seemed important. My father constantly asked me about my finances, how much I made, where I kept my savings, what my investment strategy was. I thought he was just interested in my career. Now I wondered if he was calculating how much money was available. My mother came home from shopping trips with expensive bags, designer brands from Nordstrom, silk scarves, expensive shoes. She always said they were on sale, but I started to doubt that. Monica hadn't worked in months. She claimed her business was on hiatus while she planned a relaunch, but she kept asking me for money. $400 here for advertising, $1,000 there for new packaging. It never ended. I met my friend Madison for coffee at a cafe downtown. Madison is a lawyer, and we've been friends since college. I told her everything. The phone call, what I'd heard, how my family had been acting. You need to protect yourself, Madison said. Start collecting evidence. Write down everything. Check your finances carefully. I started taking notes on my phone. Every suspicious moment, every odd comment, every request for money. I went through bills and bank statements. That's when I found them. Strange charges on my credit card. A $550 dinner at a restaurant I'd never been to. Purchases at Nordstrom for $2,200 that I didn't make. Subscriptions to streaming services I didn't use. Then I logged into my savings account. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through the transactions. Dozens of transfers, thousands of dollars each, all going to an account I didn't recognize. The transfers were labeled as consulting services or miscellaneous expenses. I checked the recipient details. It was a business account registered under Monica's name. My parents had access to my household account for paying bills and buying groceries. They'd been secretly transferring my money to Monica's business, tens of thousands of dollars over the past year. I needed more evidence. I couldn't confront them with just one overheard phone call and bank statements. I needed to know exactly what they thought of me, what they said when I wasn't around. I went online and ordered a small voice-activated microphone, the kind used for recording lectures or meetings. It arrived 2 days later. I set it up in the living room, hidden behind a picture frame on the bookshelf. Over the next few days, I listened to the recordings every evening in my room with headphones on. The first day was mostly boring. My father watching sports, commenting on plays, my mother on the phone with a friend discussing a recipe. The second day I heard something. My father was talking to my mother. I'm tired of her, he said. If she just disappeared, the money would go to us and Monica. We could actually enjoy it. Don't say that, my mother replied. But she didn't sound upset. She sounded like she was just going through the motions of disagreeing. The third day, Monica was on the phone with a friend in the living room. She was talking loudly, not caring who heard. Talia is so ugly and stupid. No wonder her husband left her. She's a complete loser in her personal life, but at least she has money we can use. Her friend laughed on the other end. Monica kept going, calling me controlling, boring, worthless, except for my bank account. I sat in my room listening to the recording, my hands clenched into fists. This was my family, the people I'd been supporting, helping, giving everything to. On Sunday morning, I decided it was time to ask some questions. I found my mother in the kitchen making coffee. Mom, I need to ask you something. I noticed some money transfers from my account. Large amounts going to an account in Monica's name. Do you know anything about that? She froze. Her hand stopped mid-pour. Then she turned and smiled quickly. Oh, those were gifts for Monica, to help her get her business back on track. You know how hard she's been working. Gifts. We're talking about thousands of dollars. Without asking me. Well, the family shares everything. I didn't think you'd mind. You didn't think I'd mind that you took my money without permission? She laughed nervously. You're making this sound worse than it is. We're family. What's yours is ours. I didn't say anything else. I just walked away. The next day, Monday, I went to my bank during lunch. I opened a new savings account that only I had access to. No co-signers, no additional cardholders, nothing. Then I transferred all the money from my old household account to the new one. It was a 6-figure sum, everything I had left after they'd been stealing from me. I changed the passwords on all my other accounts, my checking account, my investment accounts, everything. I called the bank and had my parents removed as authorized users on every account they'd had access to. When I got home that evening, dinner was almost ready. My mother had made pot roast. Everyone was gathering at the table like normal. I sat down and waited until everyone had food on their plates. Then I spoke. I heard your conversation last week when Mom forgot to hang up the phone. I heard what you really think of me. The room went silent. My father's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. My mother's smile froze on her face. Monica's phone slipped from her hand into her lap. Nobody said anything for a long moment. Talia, honey, my mother started. That was just talk. We didn't mean it. We were just venting. Just venting. Pulled out my phone. Let me play you something. I turned on the recordings from the hidden microphone. Their voices filled the room. My father saying he wished I'd disappear, my mother complaining about me, Monica calling me ugly and stupid. I watched their faces as they listened. My mother went pale. My father's jaw clenched. Monica just stared at her plate. There's more, I said. I also know about the money you've been transferring to Monica. Tens of thousands of dollars from my account without my permission. We thought you'd want to help family, my father said stiffly. We thought it was basically shared money, my mother added. I picked up my phone again and played Monica's conversation with her friend, the one where she called me a stingy control freak who hoards money. I want you all out of my house by tomorrow, I said. My mother started crying. Monica jumped up from her chair. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. My father leaned forward. Let's be reasonable here. We all got a little heated. We can talk this through. We can work it out. We can go to therapy, my mother said through her tears. Family therapy. We'll fix this. You can pay for it. No. I want you out tomorrow. Monica was still shouting. My mother was crying harder. My father kept trying to negotiate. I stood up from the table and went to my room. I locked the door and didn't come out for the rest of the night. The next morning when I woke up, the house was quiet. I went downstairs. All their things were gone. They'd packed up and left at dawn. I walked through the empty rooms. The guest bedroom where my parents had stayed was bare. Monica's room was cleaned out. The living room looked strange without my father's newspapers and my mother's magazines scattered around. My phone buzzed. Messages from all of them. Apologies, please, promises to talk, saying we could work things out. I deleted the messages without responding. Then I called Madison. It's done, I told her. They're gone. Good, she said. Come to my office this afternoon. We need to make sure they can't access any of your accounts or assets. Madison helped me draft legal letters stopping any unauthorized access to my finances. She made sure everything was protected, that they couldn't try to claim any of my money or property. Meanwhile, Monica posted something on social media. I saw it when a mutual friend sent me a screenshot. She'd written a long post calling me a greedy, selfish monster who'd kicked them out and left them with no way to support themselves. I could have responded. I could have posted my side with all the evidence, the recordings, the transfers, everything. But I didn't. I just let it sit there. The first few weeks after they left were strange. The house felt too big and too quiet. I'd wake up in the morning and make coffee just for myself. I'd come home from work, and there was nobody there. But it wasn't a bad feeling. It was peaceful. No one asking me for money. No one making snide comments. No one treating me like a walking ATM. I worked on my programming projects without interruption. I cooked meals I actually wanted to eat instead of what everyone else preferred. I watched shows I liked on TV. I went to bed when I wanted and woke up when I wanted. For the first time in 3 years, I felt like the house was actually mine. My phone kept buzzing with messages from them. My mother sent long texts about how sorry she was, how families should forgive each other. My father sent shorter messages saying we needed to talk like adults. Monica alternated between apologizing and accusing me of ruining their lives. I didn't respond to any of them. I just muted their conversations and went on with my life. Madison came over for dinner one night about a month after they'd left. "How are you doing?" she asked as we ate. "Better than I expected. I thought I'd feel guilty, but I don't." "Good. You shouldn't feel guilty. They were using you." "I know. I just wish I'd seen it sooner. You see it now, Madison said. That's what matters. We talked about other things, work, friends, a vacation she was planning. It felt good to have a normal conversation that didn't revolve around family drama. After she left, I walked through the house thinking. It was a beautiful house, but it carried too many bad memories now. Every room reminded me of something. My father in the living room complaining about politics, my mother in the kitchen hinting about things she wanted me to buy, Monica in her bedroom asking for more money for her business. I didn't want to live here anymore. The next week I called a realtor. We listed it the following Monday. I had 3 offers by Friday. I accepted the highest one and we moved forward with closing. While I waited for the sale to finalize, I started looking for a new place. Something smaller, something on the other side of town where there were more trees and fewer people. Fresh start. I found a house in a quiet neighborhood near Oak Ridge Park. It was half the size of my current house, just 3 bedrooms instead of 5. It had a small yard with maple trees and a deck in the back. Felt right. I made an offer and it was accepted. The timing worked out perfectly. I'd close on selling my old house and buying the new one in the same week. During this time I heard things through mutual acquaintances, people who knew both me and my family and had heard both sides of the story. My parents were struggling. They'd moved into a small rented apartment in the suburbs. It was a big change from my house. My father had gotten a part-time job at Target, working in the stockroom unloading trucks. My mother was selling her expensive clothes and accessories online. All those designer bags and silk scarves she'd bought with my money were being sold off to pay bills. Their comfortable lifestyle had collapsed without my financial support. They were learning what it was like to actually work for their money. Monica's situation was even worse. Her social media post about me had backfired badly. People in the comments questioned her side of the story. Friends and followers started calling her arrogant and entitled. Then her last advertiser dropped her. The small skincare brand that had been sponsoring her decided they didn't want to be associated with family drama. Without that sponsorship, what little income her business generated completely dried up. Her online store went quiet. She stopped posting about her soaps, stopped sharing lifestyle content, stopped everything. Her business finally died. I heard all this from Sabrina, a woman who'd been friends with both of us. She called me one evening. "I thought you should know what's happening," she said. "Monica is in bad shape. She's working as a barista now. She hates it. She keeps talking about how unfair everything is. She made her choices." "I know. I just wanted to tell you. Also, your parents are really struggling. Your dad looks exhausted all the time." "They can figure it out," I said. "They're adults." Sabrina was quiet for a moment. "You're really done with them, aren't you?" "Completely." For months after I'd kicked them out, I moved into my new house. It was a Saturday morning in early fall. The weather was perfect, cool and clear. The movers brought my furniture in. I'd gotten rid of a lot of stuff, only keeping what I really wanted. The new house didn't feel empty though. It felt right-sized, manageable, mine. I spent the weekend unpacking and arranging things. I set up my home office in the spare bedroom. I hung pictures I'd chosen myself. I bought new plants for the living room. On Sunday evening, I sat on my back deck with a glass of wine, looking at the maple trees in my yard. The sun was setting and I could hear birds singing. This was my life now. My house, my rules, my decisions. No one asking for money. No one talking about me behind my back. No one treating me like I existed only to fund their lifestyle. 6 months after moving into my new house, I'd settled into a routine I actually enjoyed. I woke up when my body wanted to wake up, not when someone was making noise in the kitchen. I worked on projects I found interesting. I spent my evenings however I wanted. Work was going well. My boss had noticed I seemed more focused, less distracted. He was right. I wasn't constantly checking my phone for messages from my family asking for money. I wasn't stressed about what new expense they'd demand I cover. I got promoted to lead software developer on a major new project. It was challenging work, the kind that made me excited to get to my desk in the morning. The money from selling my old house was sitting in investments. I wasn't spending it on my family's wants anymore. I was saving it for my own future. Maybe a better car, maybe a real vacation to somewhere I'd always wanted to go, or maybe just the security of knowing it was there. My new neighborhood was perfect. Quiet streets with old trees, neighbors who waved hello but didn't pry into your business. A coffee shop 2 blocks away where I'd go on weekend mornings to read. I'd made friends with a woman named Claire, who lived 3 houses down. She was a teacher around my age, divorced like me. We'd have dinner together sometimes or watch movies or just sit on our decks and talk. It was nice having a friend nearby who didn't know anything about my family drama. She just knew me as Talia, the programmer who liked hiking and bad reality TV. I did hear updates about my family occasionally, even though I didn't ask for them. Raleigh isn't that big a city, and we still had mutual acquaintances. My parents were still in their small apartment. My father was still working at Target. I heard he'd tried to get his old job back, but they'd filled his position years ago. At 61, with a gap in his resume, he couldn't find anything better than retail work. My mother had sold most of her expensive things by now. The designer bags, the jewelry, the fancy clothes. She was working part-time at a boutique, something she'd once said was beneath her. Monica was still working as a barista. Her social media accounts stayed silent. Her soap business was completely dead. I looked it up once out of curiosity. The website was gone. The pages abandoned. Sabrina told me Monica had tried to reach out to some of our old friends for money, claiming she was in a desperate situation. Most people said no. They'd seen her old post about me, and they knew the truth. I felt nothing when I heard these updates. No satisfaction, no guilt, no sadness. Just a calm understanding that they were living their lives, and I was living mine. My phone had been quiet for months. No messages from any of them. They'd finally stopped trying. Then one Saturday afternoon, I was at the grocery store when I saw my mother. She was in the produce section examining tomatoes. She looked older than I remembered, tired. She saw me at the same moment I saw her. We made eye contact across the vegetables. For a second I thought she might come over, might try to talk to me. But she just looked away and moved to a different aisle. I finished my shopping and left. My hands were shaking a little as I loaded groceries into my car, but that was it. No big scene, no confrontation. Just 2 strangers in a grocery store. When I got home I made dinner and sat on my back deck. The maple trees were full now. It was late spring. Everything was green and alive. I thought about my life before. Working constantly to support 4 people, paying for everything while they complained I was greedy. Listening to them insult me behind my back, discovering they'd stolen thousands of dollars from me. Then I thought about my life now. Working on projects I enjoyed, saving money for myself, living in a house I loved with no one making demands. Having friends who valued me for who I was, not what I could give them. The difference was enormous. I'd lost my family, but I'd gained my life back. And it was a trade I'd make again without hesitation. My phone buzzed. It was Claire asking if I wanted to come over for dinner. She was making tacos and had bought too much food. I texted back yes and went inside to change. This was my life now. Simple plans with real friends, a job I was good at, a home that was actually mine. Freedom from people who treated me like an ATM. I didn't know what my parents and Monica were doing that night, and I didn't care. They weren't my problem anymore. I'd spent years trying to be a good daughter and sister, giving them everything they asked for and more. It had never been enough. They'd wanted more money, more support, more of me, until there was nothing left. Now I gave them nothing and I had everything. My time, my money, my peace of mind. All mine. I grabbed my keys and headed to Claire's house. We'd eat tacos, probably watch some terrible movie, laugh about nothing important, normal friend things. The kind of evening that didn't revolve around drama, demands, or dysfunction. As I walked down the street in the warm evening air, I realized I was happy. Actually, genuinely happy. Not the fake happiness of pretending everything was fine while my family used me. Not the temporary happiness of buying them things hoping they'd appreciate me. Real happiness, the kind that came from living authentically on my own terms, free from toxic people. I'd spent 32 years trying to earn my family's love through money. I'd finally learned that real love doesn't have a price tag. And the people who only valued me for my bank account weren't worth having in my life. It had taken losing them to find myself. But I'd found myself, and I wasn't going back. I knocked on Claire's door, and when she answered, I was smiling. A real smile, the kind that comes from being exactly where you want to be, with people who actually care about you. "Come in," she said, laughing. I made way too much guacamole. I walked inside into my new life, and closed the door on the old one behind me.